Right, any word of the contract's done? No, Keith. And I can't lie, bro. It's really starting to piss me off. And you know why? So I was in Liverpool yesterday and I got to speak to a lot of Scousers. And still, the vibe and the narrative seems to be that Trent... I think Trent's, based off what's being reported, is asking for too much money, quite frankly. So I'm going to read you out something that was posted by the Anfield Buzz from Credit and Graham Bailey and TBR Football. Said Trent Alexander-Arnold's new contract would make him the highest paid English player in the Premier League, and Liverpool remain confident that Trent will renew. So if we take that just on its own merit, that the contract that Trent would possibly get would make him the highest paid English player in the Premier League, then we're known that he's above 300 grand. Because Saka at Arsenal, to the best of my understanding, his deal's worth about £300,000 a week. Now, the discussions that we had in the theatre last night between myself and the audience, everybody was happy to keep Trent. Everybody was hopeful we kept Trent. But everybody, to a man, woman and child, did not feel he was worth over 300 grand a week. And I have to say, he isn't. He just isn't. You know, you can make the argument it's not our money. You can make the argument that if it's that or lose him, and I get that. But there is no way in my mind, in any way, shape or form, that Trent's worth 300 plus grand a week. I just don't see how. Remember what Mo had to do to get 350. Rewrite the history books. And that was... This feels like it's a... we have you by the short and curlies kind of number. And again, I would argue that I don't see Madrid giving him that money. I would be astonished if Madrid offered him anywhere near that. And somebody said, sure, Rashford's on 350. He's not worth it, is he? He's a right back. He's a damn good right back, but he's a right back. £350,000 or £300,000 a week seems ludicrous to me. You know, I think he's on about 200 at the minute. And look, we'd all say, yeah, 250, maybe 270, not in the realms of madness. But when you go over 300 grand, I don't know what precedent that's going to set then. Is that going to say to other players, well, you run your contracts down and you can also get a big payday? I feel like at this point, Trent just needs to put his cards on the table. And I mentioned this at the show last night. My biggest fear here is that this ends and we have a lot of fans feeling annoyed at Trent because he's dragged it out. And I don't want that to happen because we all want Trent to go down as a Liverpool great. We want Trent to be around for years to come. But he's not worth over 300 grand a week. I feel like this is I have you by the balls money. And I wouldn't pay it, quite frankly. I wouldn't. You said Trent is an exception. I don't see it. I don't. There's no. I don't see Trent's impact on our team being anywhere near the same as Mohamed Salah. If you're talking about giving him nearly the same money. I don't see him being anywhere near Virgil van Dijk's influence in the team. And Virgil's going to be on less. I just don't see it. I really, really don't see it. But look, it's not my decision to make. I can just give you my honest opinion as a Liverpool fan. I want Trent to stay. It isn't about wanting to get rid of him. I just think this is... it's madness, quite frankly, to be even considering this much money. Rich Purr said, I would let Trent go now. Salah and VVD are much bigger players for Liverpool. And again, you know, one of the things I love about these live shows are I get to have real conversations with the audience about how they're feeling. And I think, and I can't say everybody's the same, but a lot of people I spoke to last night, either privately or during the show, were saying the same thing. Trent obviously has a longer career ahead of him than Virgil and Mo. But if you're to take this season in its own little snapshot, you would have to say that the impact would be Mo, Virgil and Trent. Virgil, I would say, is the most important, but you could coin flip between him and Mo. I think very good argument for both. And Trent would be the lower point of this totem pole. But Trent is 26 now, in the prime of his career. I don't know. It feels like everybody's waiting to see what the other one gets. Or what the other one might get. And it's dangerous territory for the club. Because to not have even one of them done right now does feel silly. I can't believe we haven't even gotten one of them done. I can't. It just, again, feels to me like, what are we doing? ST Nature said, some say Trent is pushing for as much as possible because this will be his last big salary push. It won't be, though. Look, every player has the right to push for as much money as they can get. Absolutely. Any person in any walk of life and any job has every right to push for as much money as they can get. No problem with that. But I would say Trent has another deal in him in about 2.5 years. So 28 and a half, I would say there's another deal in there where he could probably say minimum 4 or 5 years left again. So for me on this one, as it goes on, I'm getting more and more frustrated that we're still at a standstill here. Fergal said, would be a nice Christmas gift if they revealed all 3 with new contracts on Christmas Eve. It'd be amazing. I mean, it would shock the living hell out of me, but it would be amazing. Buggers Taste Salty said, he's not worth 300k, but we'd spend 25 mil to find a replacement over a 5-year deal. The difference between 200 and 300 is in that transfer fee. It's not just about the money, though. It's about the precedent that it sets. And it feels like we're being held to ransom somewhat on the price. And also, we already have Conor Bradley, and I would suggest he's most likely going to be the next right back if Trent were to leave. Doesn't mean you don't need to bring somebody else in, but you know, if Trent wants 300 grand a week, so what? That's another 5 million quid a year, as you said, over a 4 or 5 year deal. That's the transfer fee. So be it. But the next player coming in isn't going to be on the money Trent's on. So if you bring another right back, they're probably going to be on somewhere between 40 and 60 grand. So then you're saving a load of dough there. So the money argument is kind of a flawed one, because what you're saying is you're assuming the next right back's coming in on 200 grand a week if they do, which they won't. So Harry said, do you think any of the contract situations be different if Klopp was still manager? Oh, it's a really good question. I think the Trent one might be different. The Trent one. I think the Virgil and Mo ones are going to come down to what Hughes and Edwards feel their value is for the next 2 to 3 years versus maybe a drop-off. But I would think Trent would have been... I can imagine Jurgen just basically letting it be known very clearly Trent can't go anywhere. But I guess it's a hypothetical, so I can only give you an opinion. Money said, the way the team plays now, I think we're better equipped to cope when we had Jurgen because we relied on his long balls. Trent has to make a decision soon. So I said this last night at the show as well. I loved Jurgen. I loved the style we played. But it had its flaws, and those flaws were exposed occasionally. 2 of them being, of course, the gung-ho nature of our attack at times, which can sometimes leave us open defensively. And the second thing I would say is sometimes players were fatigued as we got to the latter part of the season. So their differences in Arne Slot's style of play that I appreciate as a Liverpool fan might not be as exciting all the time maybe as Jurgen Klopp's style, but it's seemingly as effective, what we've seen so far. And defensively, we look like a different team. We look way more balanced. So I think never ever will say a bad word about Jurgen or that period, because it was my greatest period supporting Liverpool as a 43-year-old man. But I'm really, really, really impressed with Arne. I couldn't imagine trying to squeeze so much money out of the club that gave him his football education, the team he loves and supports. Trent doesn't get that wage anywhere else besides Saudi. There's something to what you're saying, Chris, but on the other side of it, Trent and his talent and his hard work and his dedication and his professionalism also was a big part of what got Trent to where he is now. So yes, the club gave him that opportunity and that footballing education, but without the talent, the hard work and the dedication, Trent doesn't get to this place either. So, you know, I've no problem with a player looking for the biggest contract they can get. You know, I've no problem with that. I can just give you my take on it, and I don't think he's worth 300k plus a week. You know, my opinion doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's down to Hughes and Edwards, what they want to do. But for me, I don't think so. Because, as you've said, I don't see anybody else paying it for him. I cannot imagine he goes to Real Madrid and gets 350 grand a week. I'd be gobsmacked if that was the case. Cyrus said, is it just me who's annoyed with Trent if he goes? We can clearly compete for trophies and it's your boyhood club. really feels like a betrayal at this point. So I get where you're coming from, Cyrus, and I'm kind of torn on it, mate, in a few different ways. One, like I said many times on this stream, I've no problem with a player trying to maximise their earnings. That's absolutely their right. But I've also said honestly that I feel like at this point it sounds like there's a price for us and a price for Madrid, and they're different prices based off what we're hearing. Now again, this is conjecture because we don't know. If Trent leaves, I'll feel disappointed. I won't feel hate or anger towards him, but I definitely will feel disappointed because I feel the club have answered all of his concerns on the pitch. So just to really quickly go back over it, Jurgen announced that he was departing. Trent wasn't sure what to do. Let's wait and see who the next manager is. Absolutely understandable. So we know who the next manager is. The next step is, let's see what this manager's like on the training ground. Let's see what his methods are. And let's see if we're going to be competitive under this manager. And again, I would say that the answer to that question has been answered. Great coach. Players love working with him. And yes, we are challenging. So at this point, I'm running out of reasons to think why Trent might be not committing himself to Liverpool and saying, this is the club I want to be at. And that's why I'm worried. Because if Trent said tomorrow, I want to stay at Liverpool, I've no interest in going to Real Madrid, we just have to get the numbers right, I feel it will be done. I feel like a compromise may be reached and we get the deal agreed. So yeah, if you said to me right now what I think is going to happen, based off gut instinct, I'm leaning more to him going than staying. But that's just how I feel. I don't know for a fact any of that. Just my gut feeling is I'm feeling more likely that he'll leave. It looks like we're back to dominate for years. Trent will be a fool to go. With the City and Pep situation, it's silly to leave now. If he wants a new challenge, this is again like why I'm unsure about what's going on here, because if Trent wants a new challenge, communicate that to the club, and then we go about our business trying to replace him or blooding in Conor Bradley even further. So again, I feel like we're waiting on Trent here. Do you want a new challenge? If you do, then there's no point negotiating a new deal. But if he's negotiating with Liverpool, surely there's an opportunity for him to stay. So again, I just say, whatever Trent wants to do, I hope it's communicated and I hope it's quickly. Because the longer it drags on, I think the more people are going to start feeling a little bit pissed off about it. Mui said, if and when he leaves for Madrid, it will be like when Beckham left for United for them. They were in a terrible era, weren't successful and had no balance to their team. They played Figo at right back. Trent can't say Liverpool aren't going to challenge. Trent can't say Arne Slot isn't a good coach. I don't think Trent can say that the club aren't trying to keep him. It again just comes down to what he wants. And I don't know where we're at. For all we know, Trent could have told the club what his decision is. I don't know that he has or hasn't. But everything is silent. And when it's silent around these situations, obviously as fans, we become more anxious, more concerned about it. That is also understandable. Wait, what if he wants ambition from the owners? Normally, this is where I come in and go, yeah, fuck FSG. Let's go sign loads of players. And I still want us to make those signings, but to me it comes down to, well, we are challenging. Right now, we are in a position where we could go and win the league, or we could go and win the Champions League, or we could go and win some domestic cups. So, what more ambition are we going to want than winning shit again? And right now, I still feel we need a midfielder. I've been open and honest about that. We are challenging. And we've got a chance to win the league now. And I want everybody to have the Mo Salah mindset of, let's go win it all. Why not? The more I hear Mo talk, the more I'm like, yes, Mo. Yes, Mo. Win it all. Why not? As he says, Liverpool is a team with great players, world-class players, international players. I love that. Win it all. And these situations, these uncertainties, aren't going to help. So sooner the better we get a clarification on it, because we know what we're dealing with. Do you want me to tell you what my biggest concern is about Trent? It's that picture he posted after we beat Leverkusen. No caption, no words, just him and Alonso on the pitch. And that worries me, because it feels like a certainty Alonso's leaving Leverkusen. And if you're a betting man or woman, you'd have to say Madrid most likely. Ancelotti a bit shaky this season, off the back of a treble last season. And that's what worries me. Why? Why post it with no caption? Why post it at all? Because you know what he hasn't posted that I'm aware of? Anything about him and Arne Slot. Any image of him and Arne Slot on his Instagram or... So that genuinely concerns me. Because look, can I see why you would admire Alonso? Of course. We all do. You know, he's a footballing god. That to me just feels like... I don't know why you do it. Like, if you did it with the caption of... great to see Xavi back at Anfield again. What a player he was at the club. What a player he is. Fair enough. But just him, Alonso with no caption. I don't know. That makes me feel nervous.